Ladies and gentlemen, there's a story about a man climbing a mountain, gripping the edge for dear life. He's clinging, scared, begging for help, and a voice says, "Let go," but he can't do it. He's too afraid. So he stays there, stuck, holding on to fear, to doubt, to control he never had. Life often feels like a delicate balancing act, where we juggle responsibilities, ambitions, relationships, and the uncertainties of tomorrow. In this pursuit, many of us fall into the trap of trying to control everything, believing that if we just plan a little harder, work a little longer, or hold on a little tighter, we can manage every outcome. But the truth is, no matter how much effort we put in, there are aspects of life that will always remain beyond our control. And it's in these moments that we are called to release our grip and trust God with what we cannot manage. Control is a natural human desire. We like to feel secure, to know what's coming next, and to shape our lives according to our plans. But let's be honest, how often do things go exactly as we envision? Life has a way of reminding us, sometimes gently and other times harshly, that we are not in control of everything. Storms come unexpectedly. Doors close when we thought they'd stay open. People let us down. These moments can be frustrating, even painful, but they are also opportunities to lean into the divine, to trust that there is a higher power at work in our lives, orchestrating something greater than we can comprehend. When we cling to control, we create stress and anxiety for ourselves. We carry the weight of outcomes that were never meant to be on our shoulders. Think about it, how much of your worry stems from trying to fix something you can't change. The problem isn't the situation itself, it's our inability to release it into God's hands. Control feels safe, but it's an illusion. Real peace comes when we acknowledge the limits of what we can do and surrender the rest. Surrendering to God is not about passivity or giving up. It's about actively choosing to trust Him with the parts of our lives that we cannot handle alone. It's recognizing that while we can plant seeds, water them, and nurture them, only God can make them grow. We have a role to play. Faith doesn't negate responsibility, but it does free us from the paralyzing need to control every detail. Consider how liberating it is to know that you don't have to have all the answers, you don't have to know how everything will work out, you don't have to fix every problem on your own. When you let go and trust God, you allow space for His plans to unfold. You make room for His peace to replace your worry. And you gain clarity to focus on what truly matters, the things you can change, like your attitude, your effort, and your faith. God doesn't ask us to figure everything out. He asks us to trust Him, to do what we can with excellence and integrity, and then release the rest into His care. That's where real freedom lies, not in controlling life, but in knowing that the one who holds it all is faithful and in control. Fear is a powerful force. It whispers doubts into our minds, paralyzes us with uncertainty, and keeps us from stepping into the fullness of our potential. It's the voice that tells us we're not enough, that the path ahead is too risky, that failure is inevitable. Fear thrives on the unknown, feeding off what we can't see or understand. But there is something even more powerful than fear: faith. Faith is the antidote to the paralyzing grip of fear. And when we choose faith over fear, we unlock the courage to move forward, even when the way is unclear. To let go of fear and embrace faith is not to deny the reality of challenges. Life is full of obstacles and difficulties are inevitable. But fear magnifies those challenges, turning them into insurmountable giants. It blinds us to the possibilities, to the solutions, to the miracles waiting on the other side of our courage. Faith, on the other hand, shifts our perspective. It reminds us that we don't face life's battles alone, that God walks with us, equips us, and strengthens us for the journey. Faith doesn't guarantee that the path will be easy, but it assures us that it will be worth it. Fear is rooted in doubt about our abilities, doubt about the future, and sometimes even doubt about God's promises. It convinces us to hold back, to play small, to avoid risk. But faith calls us to step out boldly, trusting that the God who brought us this far won't leave us now. Faith doesn't require that we see the whole picture. It only asks that we take the next step, believing that the rest will unfold in due time. One of the most freeing truths about faith is that it doesn't demand perfection. It's not about never feeling afraid, it's about choosing to act in spite of fear. Faith is not the absence of fear, but the decision to trust God more than we trust our doubts. It's saying, I don't know how this will work out, but I believe you do, Lord. I don't have all the answers, but I know you are the answer. That kind of trust is transformative. Fear limits us, but faith liberates us. Fear keeps us tethered to the shore, while faith calls us to walk on water. Fear convinces us to stay in our comfort zones, but faith challenges us to step out into the unknown, where growth and miracles happen. It is in those moments of stepping out, of letting go of what we can see and holding on to the unseen, that we discover the depth of God's faithfulness. When we replace fear with faith, we begin to see life differently. Challenges become opportunities for growth. Delays are no longer denials, but moments of preparation. And failures are not final, they are lessons that bring us closer to success. Faith doesn't eliminate the storms of life, but it anchors us in the truth that God is in control, no matter how fierce the winds may blow. So choose faith, let it guide you, empower you, and lead you into the extraordinary life that fear would keep you from experiencing. Worry is a silent thief. It creeps into our minds, taking hold of our thoughts and wrapping itself around our hearts. It convinces us that by dwelling on our problems, we can somehow solve them. But the truth is, worry doesn't fix anything. Instead, it weighs us down, saps our energy, and blinds us to the blessings that are right in front of us. Holding on to worry is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. It slows us down, makes the journey harder, and prevents us from seeing the beauty of the path ahead. The burdens we carry often feel justified. After all, life presents us with real challenges, financial struggles, health concerns, relationship difficulties. But while acknowledging our problems is important, holding on to them with a grip of worry only makes them worse. Worry magnifies our fears and creates a cycle of negativity that's hard to break. It focuses our attention on what could go wrong rather than what's possible, leaving little room for faith, hope, or joy. God never intended for us to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. He invites us to cast our cares upon Him, not because our problems aren't significant, but because His strength is far greater than ours. When we hold on to worry, we're essentially saying, I have to figure this out on my own, but the truth is, we were never meant to. God is ready and willing to take the burdens we're struggling with, but He won't force us to let go. It's a choice we have to make to release our worries and trust Him with the outcomes. Holding on to burdens doesn't just weigh us down, it also blocks the flow of blessings in our lives. When our minds are preoccupied with what's wrong, we miss the opportunities, answers, and gifts that God places in our path. Worry blinds us to the possibilities. It prevents us from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping out in faith. Imagine how many blessings we forfeit because we're too consumed with fear of what might happen. Letting go of worry doesn't mean ignoring our responsibilities or pretending our problems don't exist. It means choosing to focus on what we can do and trusting God with the rest. It's about shifting our mindset from fear to faith, from control to surrender. When we release our burdens, we create space for peace, for gratitude, and for the blessings that God wants to pour into our lives. Think about the times in your life when you finally let go of something you'd been worrying about. Didn't you feel lighter? Didn't you find clarity and a renewed sense of hope? That's the power of surrender. God can do so much more with our problems than we ever could. So why hold on to something that's only weighing you down? Hand it over to Him. Trust that He's working on your behalf. And watch as the weight of worry lifts, making room for the blessings you've been waiting for. Life often feels like a series of waiting rooms. We find ourselves waiting for the next breakthrough, the next opportunity, or the next step in our journey. During these moments, it's easy to grow impatient and question the timing of it all. Why hasn't the door opened yet? Why hasn't the answer come? The waiting feels long, and we're tempted to believe that delays mean denial. But here's the truth: God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with ours. His plans are always unfolding, even when it feels like nothing is happening. We live in a world that values immediacy. We want instant results, quick fixes, and fast progress. But God operates on a different timetable, one that is guided by his wisdom, not our desires. He sees the bigger picture, the connections we cannot yet understand, and the outcomes that will ultimately lead us to what is best. What feels like a delay is often God's way of preparing us, protecting us, or positioning us for something greater. Waiting can feel frustrating because it challenges our need for control. We like to know what's coming and when, but in the waiting, God calls us to trust him, to let go of our timelines, and to believe that he is working behind the scenes. The truth is, God's delays are not wasted time, they are seasons of growth. While we wait, he refines us, strengthens our faith, and prepares our hearts for what's ahead. Sometimes the delay isn't about what we're waiting for, it's about who we're becoming in the process. Think about the moments in your life when you wanted something badly, only to later realize that the delay was a blessing. Maybe the opportunity came when you were better equipped to handle it. Maybe the closed door redirected you to something far better. That's the beauty of trusting in God's timing. What we perceive as a no is often a not yet, or even a something better is coming. God's promises are always true, but they unfold in his perfect time, not ours. The Bible reminds us of this over and over again. Abraham waited years for the promise of a son. Joseph endured slavery and imprisonment before stepping into his destiny. Even Jesus waited until the appointed time to begin his ministry. In every story, the waiting was not a sign of abandonment, but of divine preparation. When we trust in the bigger picture, we learn to rest in the knowledge that God's timing is never late. It may test our patience, but it never fails. The delays we face are not roadblocks, they are part of the journey. They teach us to lean into God's wisdom and trust that he knows what we need and when we need it. So if you're in a season of waiting, don't lose heart. Trust that God is working all things together for your good. His timing may not be what you expected, but it is always perfect. Keep the faith and you'll see that the bigger picture was worth the wait. Surrender is a word that often carries negative connotations. In a world that celebrates control, strength, and independence, surrender can feel like weakness, like giving up or admitting defeat. But when it comes to our relationship with God, surrender is not about losing, it's about gaining something far greater than we could achieve on our own. It's about letting go of the things we were never meant to carry and trusting them into the hands of the one who knows the beginning from the end. Letting go doesn't mean we stop trying or that we abandon responsibility. It means we acknowledge that we are not in control of everything. And that's okay. There's power in recognizing our limits and choosing to trust the limitless power of God. Surrender is not throwing in the towel. It's handing the situation over to the one who is infinitely capable. It's saying, Lord, I've done all I can, and now I trust you to do what only you can. So often we hold on to our struggles, fears, and plans tightly, believing that if we just try harder or think longer, we can fix everything. But the truth is, some battles aren't meant to be fought alone. Some burdens are too heavy for us to bear. By refusing to let go, we exhaust ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually. God never intended for us to live that way. He invites us to surrender, not to weaken us, but to free us. Think of surrender as a partnership with God. It doesn't mean you stop working, praying, or believing. It means you stop trying to control the outcome and instead allow God to take the lead. Imagine a person rowing against the current, struggling with all their might, but going nowhere. Now imagine that same person placing the oars in God's hands. The moment they stop fighting and trust the flow, they begin to move effortlessly in the right direction. That's what surrender looks like, allowing God to guide you instead of fighting battles you weren't meant to fight. Surrendering to God doesn't mean we won't face challenges or that everything will immediately fall into place. It means we trust him in the process. It means releasing our grip on the things we can't control, whether it's a relationship, a career path, a health struggle, or the future, and believing that God's plan is better than ours. It's not about quitting, it's about entrusting. The beauty of surrender is that it shifts the burden from our shoulders to God's. And when we let go, we make room for his peace to replace our anxiety, his strength to overcome our weakness, and his wisdom to guide our decisions. Surrender is an act of faith that says, God, I trust you more than I trust myself. When we surrender, we don't lose, we gain clarity, peace, and the assurance that God is working all things together for our good. Letting go is not giving up, it's giving it to the one who never fails. In the face of challenges, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, questioning how things will work out and whether we'll make it through. Fear whispers that this time might be different, that the odds are too great or the path too uncertain. But when doubt creeps in, there's one powerful antidote: remembering. Reflecting on the times God has brought us through before is a reminder that his faithfulness doesn't change. If he didn't fail us then, he won't fail us now. Every one of us has faced moments when the odds seemed insurmountable. Think back to a time when you were sure there was no way out. Maybe it was a financial crisis, a health scare, a broken relationship, or a dream that felt impossible. At the time, the situation felt hopeless, yet here you are. Somehow things came together, maybe not in the way you expected, but in the way they needed to. That wasn't coincidence, that was God's hand at work. God's track record in your life is proof of his faithfulness. Each victory, big or small, is a testimony to his ability to make a way when there seems to be none. He's been there in the storms, calming the winds, or giving you the strength to endure them. He's opened doors you never thought possible and closed the ones that would have led to harm. He's provided, guided, and sustained you. These aren't just random acts of kindness, they're evidence of a God who knows you, loves you, and is invested in your journey. When we face new challenges, it's easy to forget these past victories. The present problem feels bigger, more urgent, and more intimidating. But God hasn't changed. The same power that delivered you before is still at work now. The same love that carried you then is carrying you now. What looks impossible to you is not impossible to him. Reflecting on past victories doesn't just build gratitude, it builds trust. It reminds you that God's faithfulness is consistent. He doesn't abandon his children or leave promises unfulfilled. When you take time to remember what he's already done, you can approach today's challenges with confidence, knowing that the same God who showed up for you before will show up again. In the Bible, we see countless examples of this principle. The Israelites, for instance, were constantly reminded of how God delivered them from slavery in Egypt, parted the Red Sea, and provided manna in the wilderness. These stories were repeated not just to celebrate the past, but to inspire trust for the future. If God could do it then, he could do it again. Your life is no different. Each time you've overcome, each time provision came just in time, each time peace replaced fear, that was God showing you that he's faithful. So when doubts arise, pause and reflect. Remember the times he's come through for you. Let those moments be the foundation of your trust, knowing that God has never failed you, and he's not about to start now. Life has a way of pulling us in different directions. Our minds often dwell on the past, replaying mistakes or holding on to regrets. At the same time, we look anxiously to the future, worrying about things that haven't yet happened. In doing so, we miss the one thing we truly have: the present moment. By letting go of what we can't change and releasing the weight of tomorrow, we free ourselves to fully live here and now, where life is happening. The past is a powerful teacher, but it's not meant to be a place where we linger. Holding on to past hurts, failures, or even victories can keep us stuck, unable to move forward. You can't change what's already happened, no matter how much you dwell on it. What you can do is take the lessons, the growth, and the wisdom, and apply them to the present. By letting go of the past, you free your heart and mind to embrace the opportunities that today offers. Similarly, the future is out of our hands. Planning is wise, but excessive worry about what's to come steals our peace and robs us of joy. Worrying about tomorrow doesn't make it any more certain, it only drains the energy you need to face today. God doesn't ask us to solve all of tomorrow's problems today. He asks us to trust him one step at a time, focusing on the grace and strength he provides for this moment. When you let go of the need to control the past or the future, something incredible happens. You begin to notice the beauty of the present. The small blessings that often go unnoticed become vivid. The laughter of a friend, the warmth of the sun on your face, the joy of a simple meal. These are the moments where life truly resides. When you're fully present, you experience them in their fullness, unclouded by regret or worry. Living in the moment doesn't mean ignoring reality or avoiding responsibility. It means choosing to be mindful of where you are right now, appreciating the gifts of the present, and trusting that the future is in God's hands. It's about realizing that the only place where life happens is here, in this moment. You can't rewrite yesterday or fast forward to tomorrow, but you can show up for today. Jesus himself taught us this principle when he said, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself." Each day has enough trouble of its own. This isn't just a call to avoid stress, it's an invitation to focus on the present, to trust God with the things outside our control, and to live fully in the here and now. Letting go is an act of faith. It's trusting that the God who holds your past and your future is also present with you today. And when you embrace that truth, you unlock the freedom to live fully, to love deeply, and to experience the richness of life as it unfolds in each moment. Strength is often seen as the ability to handle everything on your own, to carry burdens without breaking, and to power through challenges without asking for help. But true strength doesn't come from self-reliance, it comes from surrender. It comes from recognizing our limits and allowing God to guide our path. When we let go of the need to control every step and trust Him to lead us, we tap into a strength far greater than our own. Surrender isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that we don't have to carry life's burdens alone. We weren't created to rely solely on our own strength. The same God who created the universe also created you with a need for Him. When you surrender to His guidance, you're not giving up, you're stepping into a partnership with the one who knows the way. God sees the entire picture of your life, from beginning to end, and His plans for you are good. Too often we resist surrender because we confuse it with failure. We think that if we let go, we're losing control. But control is an illusion. No matter how hard we try, there are things we simply cannot manage on our own. Life is unpredictable, and challenges often come without warning. Trying to navigate these moments in our own strength only leads to frustration, exhaustion, and anxiety. But when we surrender to God, we find peace in the midst of uncertainty. God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. The moments when we feel most inadequate are the moments when His power can shine through the brightest. When we surrender our plans, our fears, and our struggles to Him, we allow His strength to carry us. Surrender doesn't mean we stop working or striving for better. It means we align our efforts with His will, trusting that His way is always best. Think about the times when you've tried to force something to happen in your life, whether it was a relationship, a job, or a dream. The more you pushed, the more resistance you faced. But when you finally let go, didn't things start to fall into place in ways you never expected? That's the power of surrender. It's not about giving up, it's about giving over, giving your plans, your hopes, and your struggles to the God who holds it all. True strength isn't about standing firm in your own power, it's about standing firm in God's. It's about trusting Him enough to follow His lead even when the path is unclear. It's about releasing control and allowing Him to direct your steps. And it's about finding the courage to say, "Not my will, but yours be done." When you surrender to God, you discover a strength that doesn't waver in the face of trials. You find peace in knowing that you're not walking alone. And you gain the assurance that the one guiding your path is faithful, powerful, and always working for your good. True strength comes not from holding on, but from letting go and letting God. In the journey of life, we often find ourselves grappling with control, burdened by worries, and striving to make sense of the chaos around us. But the truth is, the path to true peace, strength, and fulfillment doesn't come from clinging tightly to what we think we know. It comes from letting go and trusting God. This is not a message of giving up, but of giving over, handing the pen of your life's story to the one who wrote the universe. Letting go is not a sign of defeat, but a powerful act of faith. It's an acknowledgement that we are not meant to shoulder life's burdens alone. It's recognizing that God's plans are far greater than our own. His wisdom is infinite, and His timing is perfect. When we surrender our fears, our desires, and our need for control, we open ourselves to the extraordinary possibilities He has in store. As you reflect on the challenges you face, remember that worry changes nothing but steals everything: your peace, your joy, and your ability to be present. By releasing worry and trusting in God's provision, you free yourself to experience the fullness of life. He has never failed you. Every obstacle you've overcome, every mountain you've climbed, every storm you've weathered is proof of His faithfulness. He brought you through before, and He will do it again. Living fully in the present is another gift that comes from trusting God. The past is a place of lessons, not residence. The future is in His hands, not yours. When you let go of what you can't control, you can fully embrace the blessings and opportunities of today. Each moment is a chance to grow, to love, and to walk in purpose. And when you surrender, you don't lose your strength, you find it. True strength isn't about bearing the weight of the world on your own shoulders. It's about leaning into God's power and allowing Him to guide your steps. His strength is made perfect in your weakness, and His plans are designed for your good. When you release the need to control, you tap into a power that is far greater than anything you could achieve alone. Faith over fear is the foundation of this trust. Fear tells you to hold on, to doubt, to hesitate. Faith calls you to step forward, to believe, and to trust the unseen. It shifts your focus from what could go wrong to what God can make right. It reminds you that even in the darkest moments, God's light is still guiding you. Every challenge, every delay, every detour is part of a bigger picture that only God can see. His timing is perfect even when it feels delayed. Trust that He is working all things together for your good, shaping your journey in ways that will bring glory to Him and growth to you. Surrender your plans, embrace the present, and walk confidently in the knowledge that God is for you. This is not a one-time decision, but a daily practice to let go, trust, and surrender. To release the past, live fully in the present, and entrust the future to God. When you do, you'll find that life becomes less about striving and more about thriving. You'll discover peace in the storm, strength in your struggles, and joy in the journey. So as you move forward, remember this: letting go is not a loss, it's the ultimate gain. When you surrender your fears, worries, and plans to God, you step into a life of freedom, purpose, and abundance. Trust in Him, for He has never failed and never will. And as you walk in faith, you'll see that the path He's guiding you on is far greater than anything you could have planned for yourself. Let go, let God, and watch the extraordinary unfold. So stop looking behind. Stop holding on to what's weighing you down. Start living in this moment with the faith that God is already working it out for your good. Let go. Trust Him. You'll find that what you thought you were losing was only making space for something greater. Because God's plan for you, it's bigger, it's better, and it's beautiful. Thank you.